do when your adult child is struggling? If you have an adult child, if you have an older child who is struggling and is withdrawing, is it pulling away, is no longer talking to you, that is a very, very difficult place to be. That's a very heartbreaking place to be. And that's what I want to talk about. I just jumped on here live after doing my group on Facebook. Which we meet weekly, and I said, you know what, I'm gonna get on YouTube and I'm gonna put this information on there as well because I want as many people to have it and to have that resource. So, by the way, I'm Jonathan. I am a family therapist. I'm an addictions counselor, and I have a whole library of videos on YouTube on my channel, so you can check those out. And I think I'm going to start doing some of these lives. And this particular topic is an important one. We're talking about when your adult child is struggling, and especially when they're pulling away and they're isolating, because it might not be everything that you think is going on in those moments. Let me give you an example. I was talking to a family earlier this week, and their adult son is gone. He left earlier this week. Now, we're pretty sure he's okay, right? That he's probably staying with some friends or somebody else, but he's not communicating. He left the house, he's not talking to them. And of course, right here in the holidays, that is such a heartbreaking thing for these parents. They're concerned, they're worried, and they were asking me, what did we do wrong? And in this particular situation, I don't believe they did something wrong. In fact, I think they're doing something right. And let me break this down a little bit more. See, their adult son, he's still living with them, and he would say, you're controlling me. Stop telling me what to do. Stop telling me how to live my life. Stop following me and checking up on me and making me do things. I don't want that. And he was right. The parents, they did not have a healthy balance there. They were being controlling. They were telling him what to do, when to do it, how to do it. And when he wasn't doing it, it would lead to an argument. It would lead to a blow up, a fight, or they would just avoid it altogether. So these parents made a change. They shifted to not being controlling, but actually letting him live his life by saying, hey, these are your decisions. This is your life, right? And they stayed engaged, right? And so they went into what I call the middle ground, right? They were not controlling, but they were able to stay engaged, right? They didn't rescue, but they were able to be present. They were able to set clear boundaries about, hey, you want to move out, right? How's that going? Let's set a time. And then they would check in like, all right, how are your plans going? Are you able to make that money? At the end of this month, we said we're going to stop paying for these things and you're going to have to start paying with it. How's that going? Right? They weren't telling him what to do. They were just staying engaged. They were supportive. They were loving. They were caring. And this is what I see so many times when parents shift from being controlling to being loving and engaged. What will happen is it shifts the focus off the parents and puts it back on the child, on the adult child in this case, right? They're not saying, hey, we're not going to control you. We're not going to tell you what to do. What are you going to do? And so it shifts. So for those of you watching live, I'm talking about when parents have an adult child and that adult child is stuck, right? And I'm going to take some questions at the end. I'm just making a video here of some really good information where parents feel their adult child is pulling away and they don't know why, right? And there are some situations where the reason their adult child is pulling away is because the parents are actually doing something very healthy. They have shifted from being controlling and they are focused on being supportive. So they're setting clear boundaries, but they're like, we're not running your life, but we do want to know how it's going. We want to talk to you. And so this young man who who I mentioned before, who is currently AWOL, disappeared. Um, he wasn't able to blame the parents anymore. He wasn't able to say, "You guys are the ones that are controlling me," right? They're not controlling. They're saying, "This is your life," right? And so it shifts the focus back on him. It shifts the focus back on the adult child, and their lack of motivation starts to show up. Their insecurities start to show up. Their bad habits, the reasons that they're not able to move forward, is there. It becomes uh, evident, and that's where a lot of times you see a young adult, they're either going to start to change. They're going to realize, like, okay, this is me, I need to make change, no one's controlling me anymore, but there's things that I need to do. And so they start making a change, or they avoid, right? They go back into their online behavior, their gaming. Maybe they go back to their substances. Maybe they hang out with their friends all the time, and they're staying away from the home. Or in this case, the story I told, this young man, he just disappeared. Right? He's avoiding the situation altogether because it becomes so overwhelming for them. But this is the key point that I want parents to hear, or anyone who knows of a situation like this. This crisis of avoidance is actually an opportunity, right? Because this is a young person who is struggling. This is a young person who is doesn't believe that they can move forward. This is a young person who they want the answers, but they're afraid. They don't believe they can do it. And so when the people around them are not being controlling, but can be loving and encouraging, you're in kind of like this great position to help them through that struggle, that internal struggle, right? Because here's what a lot of parents do. And I try to, a lot of parents, a lot of just all kinds of individuals in relationships, is they go to the extremes. And I try to encourage them, stay away from the extremes. What are the extremes? Right? It's either arguing or it's avoidance, right? So we're just going to avoid this situation altogether. Maybe it's a phase. Maybe they'll figure it out, right? But when you have an adult child who is really struggling, a lot of times what that is they just keep not stepping up to the plate. They keep staying involved in their bad habits and avoidance, and things don't change, right? So the avoidance, that extreme, doesn't work. And the other extreme of arguing, um, just the other day I was also talking to a young man. His avoidance was online video games with his friends, right? All day, all night, right? He didn't have a job. He wasn't taking classes anymore. And he's just playing games and games and games. That's the way he was escaping. And it gave him a boost because he was getting better at it and ranking up. And so it gave him a false sense of self-esteem, and the parents, they would see him gaming and they identified that as the problem. They'd come in and say, "Hey, don't play video games today. Do not do it. Go do something else." Um, when I talked to this young man, I said, "Hey, if you didn't play video games today, would that really fix things?" And he's like, "No." Right? Because there was a bigger thing going on, right? But for these parents, it just became this argument, and everyone's getting louder and louder and yelling, and things are being said that they regret, and hurtful statements, and it's an argument, and that extreme doesn't help, right? So we want to stay away from the extremes and be clear, be calm, be encouraging. You're not controlling, you're not telling them what to do, but you do have to set boundaries. In relationships, you set boundaries, which is more about you, right? Your own boundaries. Like, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm not going to do. This, in this case, it might be, we're not going to pay for this, at the end of the month. You're going to have to be responsible for this. And then the conversation is, hey, how's that going? Did you find that job? Do you figure out the budgeting, right? It's that kind of thing. So that middle ground is an important thing. And when your adult child or anyone that you're setting boundaries with is starting to withdraw, starting to pull away, they don't want to talk about things, they're pulling further into their bad habits or avoidant behavior. Uh, in that situation, that's more about them becoming overwhelmed. And that's a great opportunity to be loving and connecting in that moment. So, I want to give you one other resource, and then if anyone has any questions, I'll be fine to stick around. I don't have any titles or anything on this live. I'm a family therapist. I have my own practice. I've been working for decades and do a lot of family work. I'm also an addictions counselor, and I have a YouTube channel that has all kinds of videos. But the very last video, not short, but the very last long form video that I put on there, it was called the 5 Unstuck Conversations. That video is a teaching. It's about 10 minutes long. I try to get to the point, but I teach parents or anyone really how to have an effective conversation, how to be able to talk with their adult child or their loved one in a way that moves things forward so they don't get stuck. That's why it's called the 5 Unstuck Conversations. So I talk about in the very beginning, you have to get connected. You have to find the loving connection back. And then you have to understand what's really going on. What's the internal struggle, right? You don't start with plans, you don't start with contracts or demands. You start with connection and understanding. And I explain how to do that and then how to support the person that you love, support your adult child or child of any age, really. This is universal. And then get to making plans and making steps and moving forward. So that is an excellent video, and that's what I would encourage you to watch. I know this is a very difficult time of year when you have someone that you love who is struggling, and I wanted to put some encouragement out there and say, I hear you. You're not alone. I also have a Facebook group. I'm not recruiting, I'm just helping right now, right? If you want to look on my Facebook group, it's called the Unstuck Journey. It's a failure to launch and addiction support, but that particular group is for parents or people, loved ones of a young adult or maybe an older teen that's really struggling, really stuck in their behavior. Um, and that is there for you. So that is it. And I appreciate everyone for watching. And I hope you have a great rest of the evening. And I see some support. Yes, prayers and uh, it's yes, getting connected to God. Absolutely, that will um, go to the source, right? But beyond that, I think um, we also need to learn how to have some real conversations. You know, how to when you're really face to face with your child who's struggling, with anyone who is struggling, it's how to, really encourage them, how to really be there for them. So that's what a lot of this is about. So I'm going to stick around just for a few minutes. I'm done with that talking. And if anyone has any specific questions that they would like to ask, I've got a few more moments I can hang around here. And again, like I said, I'm a family therapist, addictions counselor, and work with a lot of families, primarily uh, with kids and teens who are really struggling and parents who are trying to figure out how to help. But really, anything is there. Anything is available. Um, so I see there's still a few people watching. Where are you watching from? Where are you guys from? Tell me where you're from. I'll tell you where I'm from. Where I'm right now. Um, Let me see. I'm just going to scroll through here a little bit. Uh, Ivory Farrell. Am I reading that right? Was watching for a little while. I don't know if you're still there, but thank you for watching. That was sound like that was something that was hitting home for you. And that's a lot of what I want. Is what I try to do is to have it where it does hit home. All right, the USSA. Uh, isn't that the insurance company? USSA. Maybe there's an extra S, or am I missing it? Is that somewhere I don't know, or is that an extra S for USA? Um, I am in Ohio right now, and we have had some crazy cold weather here. But right now it is very mild. I think we're going to have a very mild Christmas, which I think everyone in the U.S. or most of the U.S. is. I'm a little bit of a weather geek on the side, and I know that there is a high pressure system that is pushing heat up from the Gulf up into the mainland of the U.S., and we're all going to have uh, a a warmer Christmas. United Soviet States of America. Well, that's a new one, but it explains the extra S. All right. Hey, I hope you guys all have fun with your family and loved ones, or you can connect. And if you're not able to connect with your family and loved ones, I hope you know that you are important, you are invaluable, and you are cared for. So I appreciate this. I am going to jump off of here in just a moment and go watch a Christmas movie with my family. I don't know which one. Um, Maybe Elf. We haven't watched Elf yet. That's a regular one. Or that old one, Scrooged. Have you guys watched Scrooged? I'm gonna guess 89, 90, somewhere in there. It was uh, Bill Murray. All right. Or who knows? We'll watch something tonight. But I'm gonna get off here. Hey, you guys have a great night. Thanks for watching, and I will be back on here later. God bless.